Make a Path presents Let's Talk. Let's talk. Where is Morgan now? Alright, Deadheads, recently there was an article and everyone is talking about it. It came from Entertainment Weekly. Some girl named Jennifer got an early access preview, allegedly. I didn't look at it, but this is what everyone is quoting. That she said we will see familiar faces. Now, first I brushed it off as nothing because a lot of times they get people who aren't even fans or they like the show, they'll watch the show, but they're not, tuned into it. A lot of times they don't even know all of the characters, just the popular ones. So I can't verify that this is a fan of the show and this is like an active viewer that knows exactly what's going on. So that is usually the basis for confusion that follows. And this has happened in the past, where an early reviewer who isn't a big fan kind of just messed something up and everyone was speculating something totally different. It is very well possible that this is a huge fan and she knows exactly what she's talking about, but we're just running off in different directions with it. And the reason I'm saying that is because the only people that everyone is starting to point fingers at is Morales. Morgan, obviously, we know he's on the trail. But today I want to talk about Morgan and why I think it's impossible for Morgan to be in episode 9, with the group, that is. I personally think it's impossible for Morgan to catch up with the group until we get to Alexandria's safe zone and even have a time skip. I'm starting to actually believe that we're going to end season 5 with Morgan closer to the group and not actually with the group. That's a huge possibility. It also is a big possibility that we're going to get a Morgan reunion at the end of season 5. But let's look at the problems. Where is that problematic? Well, everybody is predicting that Morgan is going to catch up with the group in episode 9, 10, early on, because there's a time skip. Well, guys, don't forget. Rewind back to episode 1, when we saw Morgan get to the terminus sign. That was called a flash forward. That is a look in the future, because currently we only know of the world that exists in present day at Terminus, and our group escapes Terminus. That is our present day. That's the only future we know of, because that's as far as we saw. When we see Morgan coming down the tracks and stop with the whole, vines grow fast crap. It's confirmed, let's move on, you know what I mean? So Morgan comes down the train tracks and he sees the sign that Rick scribbled "No Sanctuary" on. That is, yes, a flash forward. Rick and company came to that sign, they defaced it, and they're gone. Wherever they went to, they are now in the future. Because when we see Morgan, they are somewhere else, and we don't know where they're at. At that time, that's as far as we got, because it was episode 1. Now, it's rational to assume, when we see Morgan at that sign as a flash forward, our group is where we see them in the trailer in the upcoming episode 9. We are going to enter episode 9 with the Beth burial, and that's almost positive. It's going to be a music montage. They're going to get a car. Maggie's crying. It's going to be emotional. We're going to have a time skip. Definitely a few weeks, maybe a month and a half. So that means that when our group is, and we know they're going to Noah's community, let's just say that, let's be honest, that is how our group is going to honor Beth. It's as simple as that. Everyone's coming up with so many, I'm sorry, not fans, I'm not talking fans, I'm talking about these bullshit second-rate bait-click-only websites that put out all these articles that try to screw with the fans. And I've been noticing, trying to lock down a key problem with the fan speculation and theories, and why is there so much bullshit out there? It's because of these bait-click thirsty bullshit websites. And I'm sorry if some of them are your favorite sites, but a lot of them are just crap. They're trying to hype us up for something crazy. It's not. They are going to honor Beth's wishes. I'm sorry, I must sound like a dick. Because I'm like, if I sound like a dick, sorry. Anyway, they're going to honor Beth's wishes. I do, I sound like a know-it-all asshole. They're going to honor Beth's wishes by taking Noah to his gated community that he talked about. And we know this just because of the story and the writing, and where else can it go from there? We often pile on all this speculation that is wildly exaggerated. That's simple. Beth died saving Noah. If she meant to do it, if she thought she was part badass because Daryl was there, who gives a shit? She died essentially saving Noah in the end. So they're going to honor Beth the only way they possibly can right now. Have a burial, take Noah to his family home. That's the only thing they got going on. Rick, he's still It's Rick. He's the same Rick. He's not, Shane 2.0. Rick is an honorable man. He's going to do that. That definitely fits in something he would do. I would be surprised if he didn't. Anyway, so our group takes Noah to his family's home. That is where we're going in episode 9, without a doubt. I haven't seen it yet. I don't have any leaked information. I don't have any whatever. I'm telling you right now, there is almost nowhere else logically this story can go. At this point in time, Morgan should be at the friggin' sanctuary sign and finding the church. This is the area he's at. So for us to think that the group is going to run into Morgan anytime soon, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Unless, and this is the only way, our group and Morgan can possibly catch up. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, what if he hopped in like a Ferrari and he just gunned it? Guys, keep in mind, that doesn't matter because Morgan was somewhere else. He was at home, recuperating from his little trip to Crazy Town. He was at home when our group was trapped in Terminus. And then our group made it to the sign, defaced the sign. Morgan's still at home. He's still in Crazy Town for all we know. You know what I mean? Our group leaves. And then a few weeks later, when Morgan recuperates from Crazy Town, he gets to the sign. So even if he hopped in a Ferrari or took a frickin' jet, he's still behind them a considerable amount of time. There's just no way to bridge that gap, logically. The only way to do it is to have our group stay somewhere for a decent chunk of time. I don't know, maybe if they get to a place called Alexandria, it makes sense that they would get there. We're gonna have to have another time skip. My brain doing predictions is having a little conflict here because part of me thinks that the perfect opportunity to bring Morgan in would be season 6. As a regular, he meets up with the group, or the perfect opportunity would be around episode 14, 15, maybe even the season finale. But we should not, and I take back what I said before, where we have Morgan look at the gates of Alexandria and it's reminiscent to the prison. We could do that. But then we can't have a time skip where we start season 6 and Morgan is in the community and a member of the community, because that totally takes away that emotional impact the fans are gonna have when Morgan and Rick meet up. That's a bad example. They need to meet up, and fans want to see that. So good storytellers will not steal that experience away from the fans. They'll give it to them. So he either comes in season 6, or he has to come early on in episode 16, or somewhere in 15. They have to sit in a place for a few weeks, maybe Alexandria. So that's where we are. That is logically where we are. And I'm going to ask you, as Walking Dead fans, when you're going to these bait-click websites, just step back a moment and think. They exist to put out titles that are going to get you clicking no matter what. Because you see the title and you know better. You know, oh, I'm going to regret this shit. Oh, I'm so going to regret this. I know Beth is dead. But what does that title mean? Click. And then you read it and you're like, son of a bitch, I just wasted 2 minutes of my life on this bait click. And I apologize, it seemed like I was yelling during this whole video. I'm sorry this is longer than I expected it to be. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming. So I would love to hear what you think about this. Either the bait click sites, Morgan, predictions for what's coming in the return episode of season 5, or if this video is a year or 2 years old, I'm curious. Why the hell are you watching this? What made you click on this? I'm dead ass. I'm not being a jerk. I'm not saying, you're a little late to the party. I am very curious to see why people watch really old videos. So if this video is old and I'm talking out to the future now like a flash forward, tell me why you watched this video. I mean, I really appreciate that you watched it. Opinions down below, because I'm done talking. Now it's your turn.
Subscribe now.